The first question that few dare to ask: did Domantas Sabonis know exactly what he was doing? NBA players don't move in the dark. They have absolute awareness of their movements, the position of their opponents, and the physical consequences of every contact. An aggressive closeout can easily be interpreted as a simple miscalculation, but was that really the case? Or are we looking at a premeditated move, a direct physical message to Jayson Tatum? Let's lay all the cards on the table. The Sacramento Kings desperately needed this win, and the game against the Celtics carried a different emotional weight. Tatum was dominating, and in moments like this, players resort to any means to try to throw the opposing star off balance. And Sabonis? He's not a player who shies away easily. On the contrary, he has already shown on multiple occasions that he knows how to use physical contact as a strategic tool. Who doesn't remember the deliberate entanglement with Draymond Green in the 2023 playoffs? That play divided opinions. Was it an innocent act or a calculated maneuver to provoke Green? If we go even further back, we'll see a pattern. Sabonis always plays on the edge between intensity and provocation. He's not an outright troublemaker, but he knows when and how to test the limits of the officiating. Basketball has this invisible facet where small gestures, a subtle elbow, a discreet push, contact disguised as a normal play can change the dynamics of a game without referees even noticing. Now, let's consider the impact of this possible physical message on Tatum. If Sabonis really tried to establish territory, was it a smart decision or just a sign of desperation? The Celtics have repeatedly shown that they respond well to this type of physical play. What could Sabonis gain from this? Maybe taking Tatum off his game, forcing him to react emotionally and lose his offensive rhythm. But did it work? Or did it just fuel the Celtics' star even more? And here's another question. The NBA has been cracking down on plays that are interpreted as non-basketball moves. If Sabonis' intention was to undermine Tatum's confidence, he might have taken a big risk. If this type of play starts repeating, referees might begin to pay closer attention and punish him more severely. Should the Boston Celtics keep Jayson Tatum out until the playoffs? The question is more complex than it seems. With only 10 games left in the regular season and the team virtually locked into the second seed in the East, the temptation to bring Tatum back soon could be strong. But is it worth the risk? In recent years, we've seen Tatum insist on playing even when he wasn't 100%. He's a natural competitor, a leader who wants to be on the court at all times. But that heroic mentality can be a problem when the real focus should be on the playoffs. If the Celtics' goal is to win back-to-back championships, it doesn't make sense to push their most important player in games that, in the grand scheme of things, won't significantly impact the team's final position. The Celtics have already proven this season that they can win games without Tatum. The roster has depth, with Jaylen Brown, Jrue Holiday, Kristaps Porzingis, and Derek White stepping up in his absence. Plus, the team has one of the best defensive systems in the NBA, allowing them to compete at a high level, even without their biggest star. So why take the risk? Another key factor: Tatum is not just any player. He is the central piece of the Celtics. And when healthy, he can be the difference between a championship and an early elimination. If he returns too soon and aggravates any lingering injury, what will happen to the Celtics in a potential conference finals matchup against Giannis Antetokounmpo's? Milwaukee Bucks are a tough series against the Miami Heat, known for their physical defense. Now, let's consider the other side. There is an argument in favor of a gradual return before the playoffs. Keeping a player out for too long can also be detrimental to his rhythm. The real issue is making sure he doesn't come back before he's fully recovered, only to play below his best level. After all, what's the point of having Tatum on the court if he's not capable of carrying the team in crucial moments? The Boston Celtics recently secured a convincing win without Jayson Tatum, but does that really answer the big question? The regular season and the playoffs are completely different scenarios. A team can survive without its star for a few games during the season, but when the intensity level rises and defenses adjust, the absence of a player of Tatum's caliber can become an insurmountable problem. Jaylen Brown, Kristaps Porzingis, and Jrue Holiday form an elite trio, and are capable of carrying the team in key moments, but none of them possess the unique combination of shot creation, scoring, and game control that Tatum provides. Brown can take on a more dominant role, but he's more of a finisher than a playmaker. Porzingis can be a focal point on offense, but he lacks the same versatility to initiate plays. Drew Holiday is a solid floor general, but his offensive impact often comes in measured doses. Peyton Pritchard's strong performance against the Kings was encouraging, but can he maintain that level of production against more aggressive playoff defenses? The truth is, the Celtics heavily rely on Tatum to dictate the pace of the game, especially in crucial moments. Without him, the team lacks a player who can consistently create his own shot and facilitate for others at the same level. This injury not only highlights Tatum's importance, but also raises concerns about the team's depth. Boston's bench has interesting pieces, but is there really anyone ready to take on a bigger role if necessary? Sam Hauser, Neemias Queta, and even O'Shea. Brissett have had their moments, but none of them can fill the void left by a player of Tatum's caliber. This reinforces the need for the Celtics to develop a more reliable rotation for emergency situations, and perhaps even explore reinforcements in the buyout market. The bigger issue is that even if the team manages to survive without Tatum in some games, the playoffs are a war of adjustments. In a 7-game series, smart opponents would exploit his absence to the fullest. Without Tatum, who takes the lead in a Game 7 against teams like Milwaukee, Philadelphia, or even Miami, which has already proven to be a thorn in Boston's side. Does Sabonis deserve the dirty player label? This is a question that makes a lot of people uncomfortable and exposes a deeper debate about how the NBA builds narratives around certain players. If Domantas Sabonis were Draymond Green or Patrick Beverley, would the reaction to his questionable plays be the same? Or is there a clear bias in how the league and the media categorize certain athletes? Throughout NBA history, there have always been players labeled as dirty, those who play at the edge of legality and test the patience of referees. Draymond Green, for instance, has carried that label since early in his career, and any elbow, stomp, or hard contact he makes turns into a headline. Beverley, an aggressive and provocative defender, also never gets the benefit of the doubt, even when his plays are within the rules. But what about Sabonis? Why does he seem to escape that same collective judgment? The truth is, Sabonis has had his share of questionable moments on the court. Just look back at the 2023 playoffs, when he grabbed Draymond Green's foot, provoking the infamous stomp from the Warriors forward. At the time, most of the media painted Sabonis as the victim and Draymond as the villain, even though Sabonis was the one who initiated the contact. This episode perfectly illustrates how narratives can be shaped depending on who's involved. Does this mean Sabonis deserves the dirty label? Not necessarily, but the fact that he avoids these discussions shows there's a clear selectiveness in how these reputations are built. Players with a more physical style, a history of trash talk, or prior controversies tend to be judged far more harshly. Meanwhile, players with a cleaner image, like Sabonis, Jokic, or even Giannis, often get a free pass when they do something similar. The real question isn't just whether Sabonis deserves this label, but why some players are scrutinized more than others. If Draymond grabbed an opponent's foot, he'd be suspended. If Beverley threw an elbow like the ones Sabonis has in rebounding battles, he'd be called out of control. But Sabonis, most of the time, his actions are brushed off as part of the game. The NBA needs to be more consistent in how it judges these cases. If the league and media want to punish unsportsmanlike behavior, it should apply to everyone, regardless of a player's reputation. Because at the end of the day, either Sabonis also deserves to be called dirty, or players like Draymond and Beverley deserve fairer treatment. The issue isn't what's being done, it's who's doing it.